An unlit lamp is no good for two reasons. One is that it can't provide light. Second is it can't light other lamps. A lit lamp, though, is very valuable. And the reason why it's so valuable is because it can provide light, right? In the Bible, it says, if you have a lamp that's lit, you do not hide it in the closet. You put it on the table so it can provide light for everyone. It can also light other lamps. So what's interesting about leadership is that by taking someone who perhaps doesn't see themselves in a certain way, helping them to see themselves in a different way, they become a lamp that you can put on a table and it can provide a lamp to thousands of individuals. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And provide inspiration for all these different people. So it's one thing for us to have a conversation. It's another thing. Ben had to take the action, even though it was extremely uncomfortable, each step of the way, right? So question is, what gets in the way of action?
Complacency.
Negotiate with yourself, complacency. What else do you think? Huh? Self-doubt. Okay. Success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal and objective. Ask yourself a question. The people that are in your organizations, do you know what their dreams are? I know what Heath's dream is. I know what he wants to accomplish. I know what Tackett's dream is. I know what your dream is. Dan wants to have a place in New Jersey and a place in Miami because he loves the vibes in Miami. And I know it's going to take $10,000 a month in residual income to make it happen. So you know what my job is? Help him to make it happen. But helping him to make it happen requires a lot of things because there's a lot of unwinding, a lot of unlearning, a lot of pushing, sometimes cheerleading. Ben sent me a text message. He had his largest commission check he's ever had in his life. How much was it? 43,000 bucks, right? He sent me a, Jessica in the back, she's like, huh? You can make 43,000 bucks selling one fucking house? And he sent, the rev share was 3,000, right? But then he sent a picture, it was a picture of him. I commented, there was a picture of him with his daughter. They were at a soccer game, all smiles. He's like, yeah, but what you didn't see is I was on my phone doing deals. And what I told him is like, bro, it's perfectly okay. It's normal and natural. Use that as fuel to keep moving you down the path. Because there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. It's the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal. Progressive means forward, onward movement towards the destination. Worthwhile means worth time, money, effort. This comes from a book. It's called Buy Back Your Time by a guy named Dan Martell. And I found it to be very true because I have the good fortune of speaking to people on a regular basis, some of the best agents around the country, about the things that get in the way of taking action. Ben alluded to this one. This one's called the staller. Okay? When I was talking to him about media, he's giving me all the reasons why he's stalling. Right, Deirdre? Yeah, she's like, oh, I do that too. Okay? Drags feet on opportunities when they come up. Okay? Scenarios help your business grow. See what he said? If I provided him an opportunity to speak in front of his peers 2 years ago, he would have faked a way to get out of it. Big stage you could be on, a big podcast you could be on, attend an event like this with other leaders. When opportunities pop up for the staller, right? They never take them, but they also never say no. They're the type of people you'll send them an invitation or email. You'll see they opened it, but they won't fucking reply. What emotion keeps us stuck at the staller? Fear of what?
Making the wrong decision.
Making the wrong decisions, one. It also could be loss. Loss of status. I'm going to look stupid. Loss of money. The staller won't allow you to make big decisions. Just keep you stuck perpetually, 6 months, a year. The second assassin is the speed demon. Makes you believe that you drive progress by making decisions really quickly. How many people here have hired a family friend or somebody really fast? Yeah. How good does that work out usually? Mark's like, nope. We've had many conversations about that, haven't we, Mark? You hire the first candidate you see, aunts, uncles, whoever, you pull them in real quickly. You forcefully select technology without doing any research. Never taking the time to reflect on mistakes that you've made. So what ends up happening is you keep repeating them all the time. So you know what people say? Oh, there's no good staff out there. What's your system for hiring them? You put them through a personality profile, like the predictive index that Jose provides to everybody. What's your onboarding like? What's your training like? So is it that there's no good people, or is it that your system sucks? But you see, if you keep making decisions quickly and you never reflect, pain plus reflection equals progress. Most people who experience pain, you know what they never do? Reflect. What emotion keeps us stuck here? The speed demon. Yes. So you know what agents say to me regularly? I can't take the time to build my systems because if I do that, I will stop doing what? And making more money. So then they live perpetually in an environment and where they have shitty systems and have to do everything. Ta-da.
That's an attack.
She's like, I feel personally attacked. How dare you? Okay. But this is legit. That emotion, I want you to recognize the speed demon, that emotion here that keeps us stuck here, because we're not thinking beings that feel, we're feeling beings that think. Right?
I wonder.
Yeah. So if you don't have the appropriate systems in place, you will not do more deals, period. You can only grow to the proportion that your systems will allow you to. Next one is a supervisor. You won't, the supervisor doesn't allow you to delegate. Okay? You hire a TC, but you end up doing the TC's work. You're answering the emails before the TC can answer them. You're hovering over them. You have a full-time assistant and you take tasks away from them versus letting them do their job. What is the emotion that keeps us stuck, that causes the supervisor to wreak havoc on us? Say it, Ellie.
Fear they're not doing it the same way.
If you keep following it, where it ends up with is your gremlin telling you, you're going to end up broken alone and by yourself in a dumpster. It goes right there really fast. Right? Well, let me ask you guys a question. How many people do you know that are mega successful that have 0 employees? So why the fuck are we imagining that we can be super productive and successful and not have employees? Sabrina has 35 employees. I asked her at dinner last night, I'm like, what is your payroll? It's $50,000 a month. You guys are like, well, you know, fucking $1,200 is a lot of money. Like, what are you doing? And we have very little risk compared to her. She has to take out loans. She's got to hire all these people for like 20% profit margins. So the emotion here is trust. If I don't delegate, what is that really communicating? I don't people. And if I don't trust people, it really means I don't trust. You ever notice that people that are not trustworthy, like they don't trust other people because they're not trustworthy? Or I don't have a system that I trust. Supervisor ensures that your time never gets upgraded. So if you could dominate the supervisor, still be in assistant work, how could your time get upgraded? What could you spend it doing? Media? What else? Reading? What else? Product investing? What else? Family time? What else? Bro, you can upgrade your time. You have to get out of this thinking because we grew up in situations where we heard money doesn't grow on, eat all the food on your, and a penny saved is a penny, which is horseshit because it's just a penny.
Not only that, but the 2 assistants that we have for our assistants, I think we pay one of them like $12 an hour. And the other one, I think it's like $9 an hour, basically.
Yeah.
And they're the assistants for the assistants,
correct,
basically.
Yeah,
so
and that frees up how much of your time, like approximately?
It frees up a lot of time, basically.
Like how many hours would you say like a week are freed up because of that structure?
Well, I don't have to deal with, it frees up energy as well, too.
Explain what you mean.
So like, let's say an agent is upset. Or let's say,
my God, that happens to you?
Or let's say a seller is upset.
Oh my God, that happens to you too?
They are the first line of defense. And if I need to talk to the client, it's already like the assistant already heard 30 minutes of the ramble already.
Yeah, so by the time they get to you, it's like 5 minutes.
They've already let it all out, basically.
Yeah.
You know? So it clears up energy because of that as well, too. Like lots of energy.
You have to get out of this mindset of like, if you want to get it done right, you have to do it your. Think about the people who told you that. What's their life like? It's fucking shitty. They cut their own grass. They do their own shit. They fix their own roof. They do everything themselves. And they live very small, tiny. Okay? So ask yourself a question. What percentage of your time during the day are spent on mediocre tasks? It's wild. So even though Dee makes like, she grosses $1 million a year, what percentage of your time you spend are mediocre tasks? Honestly. 20%?
Yeah.
Yeah. 20%. Bullshit. Can you imagine if somebody of her capacity and her power freed that up? I mean, like an extra $500,000. The next one is the saver. This one affects the entrepreneur who is only saving money and not reinvesting it back in themselves. This was me, guys. 100%. I could have grown much faster and quicker if I would have reinvested back in the business. Once the saver gets a hold of you, you created a false sense of success by hoarding a nest egg. So what emotion keeps people stuck here? Fear of there not being enough. No bullshit. Who besides me has that? Fear of there not being enough. Look, bro, look right. High, up. Look at that, bro. It's like 50, 60% of the room. That's because it actually works out. because 65% of the US population lives paycheck to paycheck. So it makes sense that that is the case, that we have this. If you think if you hear money doesn't grow on trees all the time, and you hear that shit all the time, you don't think that program's the way that you think? 100% it does. So fear that there's not enough. The saver tells you to save money, which costs you time. You will agonize over small purchases that could save you hours, tens of hours of your time. So that's what Jose's saying. Jose's saying $1,300 a month saves him 30 hours a month. Or $1,300 a month saves him 30 hours of his time. Like if I'm going to go buy like a fucking Birkin bag instead of hiring a virtual assistant, your priorities are fucked up. You're not focused on the right things. You were going to say something, Carla?
No, if you do some girl math, okay, so by hiring this assistant, it costs $15,000. If you do two more deals,
Yeah.
the whole year,
Yeah.
buying back that time, it's basically free.
Yeah, and it's a perfect example because this was also, hey,
Even one, some people it's one deal.
Yeah.
I'm
No-
talking
not
about
only
in our
that,
market, it's about 2 deals.
Not only that, but what's the risk? You're not even committing for the full year if it didn't work out. You're committing for 3 months.
Yeah.
Which means the risk is only like $3,600 to $3,900.
that's a really good point. Hey, so this was also me. So the two that wreaked havoc on me was the staller. I would take too long to make decisions, and the saver. So I'll give you an example. We're humming along, doing deals. Carla's pregnant. She's going to give birth 6 months, out. And I knew I probably had to do something because she was everything. Listing coordinator, transaction coordinator, photographer. She's like out there on her heels, putting signs out, taking pictures with these tiny little fucking things before there was like bigger cameras, She's doing everything. And I had a coach, because I'm like a typical guy, right? So I had a coach who said, hey, I said, yes, sir. He said, do you want to stay married, bro? I'm like, what are you talking about? My relationship's good. He's like, you're going to need to hire somebody. You need to hire some more people to help. And I was like, oh, will we? Hadn't thought of that. But why hadn't I thought about it? Because I was being fucking cheap. I didn't want to spend the money, right? So we hemmed and hawed, whatever. We hired our first assistant. It probably cost $35,000 for the year. Do you know within 8 months of hiring her, I made an extra $150,000? Because what was happening is Carla doesn't like to be on the phone. She actually doesn't like to talk to people. Okay?
It's true.
It's true. She doesn't. So what she would do, literally, our phone number would be in MLS. It would go straight to fucking voicemail. She wouldn't even answer.
But I didn't, okay, in my defense, I didn't have time to answer because I was fucking taking pictures. I was doing transaction coordination. I was doing the book.
Yeah, we get it. It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. So,
To defend myself.
hey, so she would have it go straight to voicemail. She would check the messages twice a day. There would be a list of 12 messages. And at 6 o'clock when I get home, she'd be like, here, bro, you got to call these people back. See ya. Straight up. So I'd be in there till fucking 8 o'clock at night, calling people back. And finally, the pain got so great. I'm like, look, and the coach told me it would be an upgrade in your life, even if you don't make any more money. Yeah. And she was right. So invest in the course that makes you more money. You know how many people have DM'd me because they took the probate course and they're taking listings? Right away, right? Invest in a course that'll make you more money. Hire a runner. Why are you guys picking up lockboxes, picking up signs? Hire somebody to do it, bro. Bro, if it was less than $200, I was people be like, hey, bro, I need you to come pick up the condo docs. I'm like, boop, boop, boop. Hey, you want $80 to go pick that up? Sure, go get them. Why am I doing that? It's not worth my time. And I don't mean that in a egotistical way. It's just accurate. Hire a virtual assistant. Invest in camera equipment, right? Because all of these things will help you to grow and expand, but the saver will cause you not to be able to make a decision on it. Now, this is interesting because we get into trading the different trades that we make, okay? So we make different trades every single day. We're just not clear on what those trades are. The clearer we can be on them, the better trades we'll make. Trading time for money. What would be examples of trading time for money?
Working.
9 to 5, fine. What else? Trading time for money. Yeah, it's trading time for money. What else? Yeah, it's trading time for money. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with trading time for money. We all start there. Okay? You just need to make sure that the trade is proportionate and equal and commensurate for my value and the time that I'm spending.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Okay. The problem with this is that it's linear. It's 2x. The only thing you can do here is trade more time for money. You get no duplication, no multiplication. So if Jess isn't at school, Jessica, that's Jessica, okay. If Jessica, Heath's wife, isn't at school teaching, she gets no money. It's very linear. Now, if she puts in extra time, they'll give her a little bit more money. Maybe. Actually, no. Okay, no. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it's linear, right? You put in extra time, you get overtime. Heath, that is overtime. A little bit more. But it's linear. It leads to like a little bit more money, maybe 10 deals to 20 deals. The key point here is harder work only leads to incremental gains. If you want quantum leaps, if you want a leap, right? You need different strategies, different techniques, different vehicles. Now, so this one is the employee trading time for money. Okay, these people say like, hey, we have really good benefits. Trading money for time, this is where you become an entrepreneur. What's an example of trading money for time? Cleaning lady?
Yeah.
Chef?
Having
Love
your
that
barber
idea.
Come to your house.
Huh?
Having your barber come to your house.
He does. Your barber comes to your house. How much you pay him?
Like $80.
Every time he comes to your house to get a haircut, right? These are examples of trading money for time. Okay, now you're starting to move towards multiplication, right? So you can calculate your buyback rate. The way you calculate your buyback rate, so you take your net, divide it by the amount of hours that it takes, and that's your hourly rate. Let's say it's $100 an hour. Anything less, now you divide that number by 25, right? Actually, times 0.25. So her buyback rate is $25 an hour. So anything that's $25 an hour or less, she should be paying somebody else to do.
Not only that, but the way to, on top of that is, what do you want your hourly rate to be?
Yeah.
And in order to get to that hourly rate, you have to delegate anything under that.
That's
So
right.
if you want your hourly rate to be 50, anything that you can pay less than $50 an hour, you have to delegate it if that's what you want your hourly rate to be. So
Yes.
if you want your hourly rate to be 100, the only way you're going to get to 100 an hour is to delegate everything less than
Then
$100
what's
an
worth
hour.
it? So, and what you do, the way you figure this out, so you figure out what your buyback rate is. Then what you'll do is a time and motion study. So what the time and motion study is every 15 minutes you write down what you're doing for 2 weeks. What do you think you would notice if you wrote down everything that you're doing every 15 minutes?
How much stuff you're doing that's less than
Yeah, how much fucking time you're wasting. And guess what? Those are the things that you buy back with your buyback rate. So, and this is the order in which you delegate, okay? And this is interesting because it's also, I think this applies to you, Sabrina, too. The first one I delegate is administrative work. Administrative for us in residential resale is transaction coordination, listing coordination, whatever. Administrative for Sabrina is she's actually the one sending out the payroll. I saw her do that yesterday. I'm like, why the fuck are you doing that, bro? You're like the boss. Somebody else should be doing that, right? The next thing that you delegate is delivery of the service, right? Next thing you delegate is marketing. After that, sales, then leadership. So to give an example on this, so if we look, administrative stuff, we have an administrative team. Delivery, we have an onboarding team. Marketing, I have EC Creative, plus I got a guy, Caleb, in my DMs that's having conversations. Sales team, we have 332 people as of today. It's a sales team. Leadership is leadership. You see what we're doing?
Yeah.
I'm basically just doing this. But you guys can do the same, whether it's in attraction or if it's in residential resale. The key components is every rung of the ladder, it's like a replacement. It's who do I, like the higher I need to make, the current feeling or stress that it would like free up. The responsibility that must be transferred to the key higher, ownership. So to give an example, like Gabrielle is a linchpin. I mean, she's like critical to make all of this. None of this would happen if she wasn't here. I'm just the talent. I just show up like, haha, but I don't know what's going on, right? But it's her responsibility. She takes complete ownership over it. She doesn't come back. She more like, I just give a little bit of input, but it's her thing. So ask yourself a question. The people that are on your team, do you actually give them ownership? where it's theirs, their department. People would call me and be like, hey, what's going on with transaction? Well, to be honest with you, Donna, our transaction coordinator, she's the lead on that. I have to get with her. So I will check with her and one of us will get back to you. I would send her an email, call that person back, and I'm fucking out. Because she has ownership over it. Peace. It's her thing. It's not my thing. If everybody on the team knows their roles, you can do some awesome things, right? And what stress would that would that free up? So imagine Jose, I was talking to him, and it was like probably 6 o'clock his time. And maybe it was I don't know what day it was. He's like, yeah, bro, I got 5 follow-ups with sellers I got to make before I go home. And are those conversations really enjoyable? No. We were in the car, bro. I had to listen to him, listen to a guy. Here's how it went. You know, I really think the pictures don't really point out the emotional benefits that come with the purchase of the home. It just doesn't really give the feel. And I look at Jose like, fucking no. You know what I said to him? I'm like, dude, and it's funny because Carla used to say this to me. She's like, how do you talk to those people? How do you even do that? And I'm watching him like, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback. And then he's got to call Ricky. He's like, yo, we got a stage 5 right now. You got to go over there. Let him. You know what he said? As we're on the Zoom thing, he's like, yo, I don't want to step on your toes. And I mouthed to him, I'm like, yes. I don't want to tell you how to do your job. Yes, you do. Right? But how amazing would it be for Jose if he delegated follow up with sellers? How much stress would that relieve for him? A lot, bro. So what emotion do you think gets in the way of using money to buy back time?
Fear of loss of money.
Yeah. So Jose's relationship with money is that it flows. I've actually learned from him, like watching him. And I think it's a strength and it's a weakness because sometimes he spends too much, but he's just like, yeah, dude, what's the worst case scenario? We were sitting at a thing we were in and they couldn't split up the bills. So he's like, yeah, let's just pay for it. He's like, worst case scenario, it's $3,000. And it was like, yeah. And it was like $2,000. And he's like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like done. Right. But the emotion that gets in the way of buying back time is a fear of there not being enough. You really think that this money you're going to let go is the last money you're ever going to see. I remember where I had a goal to like accomplish something. I had the money and I wasn't doing it. I went to a mentor and I said, how come I'm not doing it? You know what he told me? Because you're afraid you're not going to keep making the money that you're making. And then he looked away. He was like, okay, done. But like, ask yourself a question. What's your concept of a lot? Right now, no ego. Like, I'm just curious. Elizabeth, what's your concept of a lot? 3,000 to 5,000. Okay. And then, so if it's less than that, you wouldn't hesitate that much?
I was still hesitant.
You would. Okay. So then it's probably like 1,000 then. Then you'd be like, whatever. Okay. But once you get into 3s and 5s, it's like, I'm going to hesitate. Isn't that interesting? Where our concept of a lot gets in the way. When I tell people that I paid somebody $25,000 to teach me media, most people say that is a lot. But look at what it's done. Is it? Or was it a steal? Right? Okay. The next trade you want to make is you want to trade money for money. This is where you start building an empire. And at this level, your personal life gets really exciting. You have ample time for relationships, travel, and hobbies. What would be an example of trading money for money?
Buying an asset.
Buying assets. What type of assets could we be buying?
Short-term rental house.
Yeah, short-term rentals, equities, long-term rentals, syndications. Okay. Now, in order to trade money for money, you must measure to have a clear picture of how much money's left over at the end of each month. How many people, no bullshit, okay? This only works if we're honest. Every month know how much commission has come in, how much expenses they've spent, personal and business expenses, and how much left over. How many people do that? Interesting. Just the 3 people that are probably generating the most revenue. Guys, success leaves clues. Can you imagine going to the CFO of a company and being like, hey, how much money did you guys make this month? And then being like, I don't fucking know. Or they were like, hey, what were your expenses this month? Not sure. Carla does a spreadsheet it's actually weekly, where I see cash flow in, cash flow out, and how much got deposited in the bank account. That's for me.
With personal or just business?
Both. Yeah. So, but that's for me because I'm the one who has an interesting relationship with money, not her. That actually causes me to calm the fuck down. So I can see it all the time. But can you change what you don't measure? No, you can't. But money has this like, we have this weird like, ooh, oh my God, it's just digits on a screen, guys. Why do we allow it to have power over us? We should control it. It's not the opposite way around. How many people have a bookkeeper? No bullshit. Okay, good. More people, but also, we use SBS Solutions. It's awesome. Okay. You know what happened? Carla was the bookkeeper for a long time. You know what she would do every month? So if you don't have the resources yet to hire a bookkeeper, it's not that much. It's only $400 a month. What Carla would do is every month we put everything on our American Express. At the end of every month, she would pull up the American Express bill. She'd have an Excel spreadsheet open. She would put all of the expenses in personal, all the expenses in business, and show all the commissions for the month. And at the end of the month, I could see how much money we have left over. That's easy. That's not complicated. But it got to a point where it was taking her a whole day to do it. So we had to hire somebody. And that freed up how much of your time? A lot. And the vehicles that we have at our disposal, equities, real estate, business, and I would propose attention is actually an investment. Okay? So when I say the word equities to you, what comes up? What does that make you think of? Okay, good. Now you can either, in all of these, you can be active or passive. Now, what do you think I mean when I say active or passive? You could either be in control, where you own the actual physical thing, or you could be passive, meaning like somebody else is the one that's controlling the asset. You're just participating in it and you have some ownership in it. Now, why do you think everybody chooses to be active? Control, and they don't value their time. You know how many people waste fucking so many hours of their month to fuck around with a rental that makes them $300 a month? Because they don't value their time. So what would be an example of being active in equities?
Like day trader.
Yeah. Which I think is stupid.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Anybody here know how to actually read an income and balance statement from a huge corporation? No. So do you know what you're doing? You're guessing. You know what another word for guessing is? Gambling. That's dumb. You're trying to compete with people who have unlimited amounts of money and the best technology. Do you think you're actually going to beat them?
Not only that, but you think you're smarter than
Yeah, bro.
you know something that other people don't.
Operate under the assumption that you're not. Okay? There's like 5 people on the planet that have consistently been able to do that. Just accept the fact that you're not one of them. Okay? What would be an example of being passive in equities?
Index funds.
Yes, me and Sabrina were just talking about this. Okay? Index funds. There's various different reasons. I can give you probably 3 or 4 books that you could read. One called A Random Walk Down Wall Street. Another one called A Simple Path to Wealth. That explain all the reasons why index funds shift it to be heavily in your favor. Okay? Versus like mutual funds or things of that nature. Personally, that's what me and Carla do. Okay? We invest every single month in index funds. It just automatically comes out. Why do we do that? Because I take out the one part that would cause it not to happen, which is me. If it's automated, we won't even see it. Okay? We started off with $50 a month when we had no money.
When we were in college.
In college. Because your boy was mildly obsessed. I grew up in a family that was nice, but broke. And I was like, I will fucking never have that be my experience. Ever. So they wanted me to open it up with $3,000. Guess what? I didn't have $3,000. But they're like, if you agree to give us $50 a month, we'll let you open it up. So that's what we did. And then every year as we made more money, 50, 100, 300, 500, 800, 1,000, right? You just keep increasing. And I promise you, you do that for 15 years, you will look at your statement and be like, what the fuck? Because every 10 years it doubles. If it's at like 7%, 2% dividends, 5% growth. Okay? And by the way, being passive, how much time does it take for me? 0. What's my job? Just to put more in. That's it. I don't have to do anything else. Okay. Real estate. I could either be active or passive. What's an example of active?
Owning the physical asset.
Owning the physical asset. How many properties how many doors do you own?
37, my dealer and I, and then 20 in a partnership.
Okay, well, how much? 57 doors at 37 years old? Yes. How much time, energy, and effort is that?
Oh, that was.
You see both of them, like, oh, that was a bitch. Yeah. In other words, that's an example of active, and it takes a lot of work. It's not that it's bad. It works. It's fantastic. It's very stressful and requires a lot of time, energy, and effort.
100%.
What's an example of being passive in real estate?
Syndication.
Syndications. And does everybody here know what a syndication is? It's okay if you don't. I'll explain it. So what a syndication is you find a professional investor, meaning it's what they do for a living. They go out and buy a massive apartment building, like a 300 unit apartment building for $150 million. They put $20 million of their own money into it. Then they go to investors and they raise the rest of the money. So you become a very minority owner in this beautiful apartment building. And then every month they send you a distribution, your portion of the cash flow, based on how much you've invested. Does that make sense? How much time does that require of me? 0. Me and Carter had a distribution like today, it was $10,000 from syndications. And for me, the reason why I've chose to be passive here and here is because I personally believe I shouldn't spend any time on my investments until my investments pay me more money than my active income, which for most people is never, right? Because I can earn way more money doing the thing that I'm gifted at and good at than fucking around with this. Businesses. What would be an example of being active in a business? Selling real estate. That's sort of. Laundromat. Yeah. What else? You own a piece of a title company. What's an example of being passive in a business? Or investing in businesses, which you can do via syndications. I don't know if you guys know this. There are syndications for car washes. There are syndications for ATM machines. Like there's syndications for all these different things, right? And then this last one I would propose is definitely an investment in its attention. Okay. I've probably spent in the last, 18 months, $100,000 on attention. But it produces cash in the form of people reaching out to you. So here's an example of what we're doing in terms of climbing the opportunity ladder. So when we did this at this particular time, I actually looked at it and I studied it because you can't change what you don't measure, right? So I looked at, okay, the example I was doing with Jess. Let's say I was grossing $700,000 that year in residential resale. Took me 2,600 hours to do it. I was actually making $269 an hour. Okay? Actually, no, and it cost this. So the tax rate's 32%. No, I was making my net on that was $276,000. I was making $100 an hour. I didn't like that very much. I was like, that's bullshit. I should be making more money than that. Now on the consulting side, okay, let's say I grossed that year, but look at the difference in time. It's like almost 1,000 hours less time. And look at the difference in dollar per hour. It's more than double. So what would it make sense for me to start to gravitate more towards? This helped me to make the decision to let go of this. Make sense? But then we started to really look at this. Okay, let's say you have some syndications. And if that produces, let's say that amount in net income, at $106 an hour, I've replaced 700 hours of working. You follow? Let's say you go buy a short-term rental. That produces this. At $100 an hour, you've replaced 450 hours of working. Make sense? EXP, it's actually much more than this. Last year was 120-something thousand bucks. This year it'll be more. But look at that, at a net after expenses, look at what's happening. You see how much this is per hour versus the selling of real estate per hour? This is higher. So slowly but surely what I've done is I've replaced with these all of the net income from over there. Does that make sense? Next to this would be index funds. Next to this would be an insurance policy. Next to this would be affiliate income. Make sense? So this is a fantastic engine for raising cash. This is trading time for money. The goal that you want to do is then begin to trade money for time and then money for money. That's how you create financial freedom and independence. Okay? I read a book called What I Learned Losing $1 Million. And it's one of the best books you could read if you're going to invest capital. It's a shame that people who don't screw things up, that they don't do seminars. Like if somebody did a seminar, this is how I fucked up my marriage, I'd be in the front row because I don't want to do that. Right? And this guy lost $1 million in 4 months. In the 80s. It was a lot of money. Okay? And I took away a couple things from that book. The first one is there's a million ways to earn money. There's only a handful of ways to lose it, and they're all psychological. So if you can learn those psychological things, you can stay away from them, right? The second thing is these definitions of words. So I'll give you the words, then I'll ask you a question. The definition of investing is that the goal is to recoup. It's the preservation of capital, number one. What does preservation mean?
Save.
Don't lose. Not save. Don't lose it. The preservation.
Right.
Right? with the goal and objective of you receiving the capital back over an extended period of time in the form of rents, dividends, or royalties. So by its very definition, is that short-term or long-term?
Long-term.
Long-term. The next definition is betting. Betting is where there's a wager. I think there's something going to happen. We wager if it's going to happen or it's not. And if I'm right, I win the wager. Okay. Another one is trading. Trading is where I buy for $1 and try to sell for 10. That's a trade. Okay. Another one is speculating. Okay. Speculating, it comes from the Latin word spectere. It means to see. The only return on a speculative investment is if it goes up in value. It's the only return. There's no rents, dividends, royalties, nothing. And then the next one is gambling. Gambling is actually about entertainment. It's not about winning or losing. And the price for the entertainment is the wager. So now let me ask you, which one of those categories does that fit in? Is it investing?
No.
No. Is it betting?
No.
Yeah, you're betting in the future. It's that
Like
like,
say speculating.
yeah, it's speculative. I would propose it's a little bit of a bet because you're like, hey, I'm betting that this is going to become the currency. Is it a little bit of gambling?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
it's like,
no, so it's exciting.
yeah,
It's
how
like-
often do you check it? Probably the same amount that I check RevShare. You're like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Right? Most people say investing when they're not really investing. They're trading, which is part of what that is. You're trying to buy at this price and sell at this price. Does that make sense?
Right.
So the question is if it's not actually investing, if it's more trading, speculative, a little bit of gambling, how much of my net worth should be tied into it?
Nothing.
A small portion. Hey, look at this. This is get rich for sure.
This is get rich for sure.
I think what he's saying too, though, is like, I would used to use the dialer, or I use the dialer just to lead generate. I don't use the dialer to follow up on my leads.